This is Revenant Prime, the most used Warframe of 2023. We all love him for his game-breaking invincibility, but the real question is, do you play Thrall Master or Spin to win? The main thing you'll find with Revenant is that as long as you have Mesmer Skin active, you can pretty much do whatever you want. A lot of people will say building for Enthrall is the best because casting Reave on Thralls leeches 5 times as much shields and health, which scales much better than Spin to win. But if you don't plan on doing high-level content reaching level 1000 plus, then I find that Danse Macabre works fine as a high-stress map wipe as long as you really lean into it. His first ability is Enthrall. Target an enemy to bring them to your side. They'll then convert other enemies up to 7. Effect duration and cast range are affected by mods. The main synergy that everyone loves is casting Reave to fly through all the Thralls. The 5 times percentage damage bonus is really useful as enemies get more and more health, but personally I find it a little rough to spam Enthrall and Reave constantly to clear out large groups of enemies. His second ability is Mesmer Skin. It creates that game-breaking invincibility where getting hit makes you invincible for 1 second and consumes a charge, just like the Amisha. Using his augment Mesmer Shield is great for being a team player and also offers 50% bonus strength. Also, casting Reave on Thralls refreshes 1 charge per enemy defeated. His third ability is Reave. You become a wall of smoke that scales with range, moving forward at a speed based on sprint speed. Your travel time also scales with duration. Like I said earlier, this ability has some great synergies with Enthrall, which is why that combo is so beloved by the community. But you can also use it during Danse Macabre to travel much faster for half energy. And his final ability is Danse Macabre, where you turn into a Battlelist-style spinning wheel of doom that adapts its damage to whatever it touches. Holding your fire button doubles all the stats of the attack. I've always loved using this ability alongside Breach Surge in place of Enthrall, which is pretty controversial, but it is kind of the lazy boost to most DPS abilities with a little bit of pacification built in. Honestly, Revenant's Spin to Win build is so easy. I've added 2 health Archon shards to help my pet survive, but those definitely aren't necessary if you don't want them. There are a few big things to point out. This build only really cares about strength, so I've made the other focus on having as much energy and efficiency as possible. Arcane Energize is a must on a spam-heavy build like this, but I also like Molt Augmented because he works great for missions where you'll actually hit 250 stacks. Mesmer Shield is essentially mandatory if you want to be a team player and keep your pet alive. The other weird choice on this build is Boreal's Hatred, but that 15% efficiency is way more valuable than Augur Message, which would have been my other choice. Even with only 238% power strength, you'll still get tons of Mesmer Skin charges, and your lasers will do plenty of damage. At 128%, the duration is mainly there just to not have a negative from Transient Fortitude. But 145% efficiency just makes everything so nice to always have energy to go crazy. As a classic DPS frame, the obvious choice for a weapon for Revenant would be any true meta primary. You're mainly looking for something that can keep up with your DPS ability, so having some kind of large AoE or maybe a funky beam will make those high-stress situations a lot easier. Alright, so I wanted to do something a little bit different for the back half of this video. Essentially what this video is going to be is a quick little test where I actually get to show off me playing the game live. Obviously it's good to start out with a little bit of cats dying. I mean, it does suck, but it's going to happen with Revenant. That's part of the gameplay loop that you're going to notice is that Mesmer Shield is useful, but there's a reason that I have a lot of extra survivability mods that may not be 100% necessary. Now, of course, the weapons that I'm choosing, of course, like I said before, I'm using a meta primary. So that meta primary is going to be the Accelerator Prime. I just find that it's really, really useful. It's super simple, doesn't take a lot of thought to use. Obviously, you just have a full auto AoE, so it's very simple. And then, of course, I am using the Icarius as well because that is my least used pistol at this point, so I really need to rank that up. And obviously, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I'm using a little bit of the Falcor just to be able to clear out any dangerous enemies. Now, what you are going to notice with this playstyle is that a lot of it is just going to be Breach Surge plus shooting stuff. I don't even really use Spin to Win unless I'm... I don't even use Spin to Win unless I'm really in a bad spot. Because honestly, Breach Surge pacifies really well, and then I can focus more on just dumping my entire Icarius mag, which is always more fun for me, but I will definitely still show off Spin to Win. What you will notice is that when you use Breach Surge, it's going to be really important for you to actually run around and clear out all the enemies, because once they're hit with that radiation proc, it's going to be pretty annoying to actually hunt them all down, because they're not going to group up in the way that you want. And that's the big thing, is like, you're going to notice, you know, when I was playing with Enthrall, a lot of it is that the enemies just don't group up as well as you want them to, and so you're going to kind of be forced to run around constantly and be reaving essentially 24/7. I hope it's pretty clear to see what the actual gameplay involves. It's really just keep moving, try not to let your cat get hit. Obviously, you're seeing my cat is at max overguard, so he does not have to worry about anything. It's good to be fully loaded, good to be in a simple spot. I haven't even gotten 250 stacks of Molt Augmented yet, which is pretty interesting, but I guess the main thing that you're noticing is that, like I said at the beginning of the video, there really isn't a lot of high-stress situations with Revenant because of his second ability. You're really just keeping Mesmer Skin active at all times, and then if you're feeling a little bit stressed, or, you know, you want to do something a little bit exciting, you can obviously just spam Danse Macabre, and then that will pretty much clear out anything that's affected by Breach Surge. Now, the big thing to note is, like, when you saw in the gameplay footage, the fourth ability works mostly for trash mobs. When it comes to things like heavy gunners or Eximus units, Spin to Win is not really what it's meant for. Spin to Win is meant to basically keep you alive when the bosses show up. So, you know, when I'm doing Conjunction Survival level 200 that I'm doing right now, what you are noticing is that most of the time it's just trash mobs, but then every 5 minutes you're going to get a Battlist spawn, and then you're going to get a couple Acolytes, or you're going to get one Acolyte, 2 Battlists, and then also 2 of the Lua Thrax enemies. And the basic gist is, like, this mission is pretty easy, not super stressful. The only time that it's really going to be stressful is every 5 minutes when the Battlist spawn, and then if you're unlucky, you'll get a Battlist, and then you'll also get, like, Violence or Malice. Those are the 2 Acolytes that I really hate the most. Those are the only ones that I'm really afraid of, because they can mess with your actual playstyle and force you to think differently, act differently, things like that, things of that nature. But basically, you're noticing that I haven't really been struggling at all for this entire mission. If I'm ever feeling a little bit scared, I'll drop a little bit of Breach Surge plus Danse Macabre, but for the most part, you're not really seeing a lot of enemies surviving around me. If they are alive, then I can just dump a couple shots with the Icarius, and then I don't have to worry. We've got our first, oh, that's the Conculist. Okay, that's easy. The one that I am looking for is this guy. Ooh, we got a double Conculist spawn. That's pretty lucky, honestly. But here's the situation where it gets stressful. I've got all the Battlist spawn, I've got all the Sentients, I've got the Lua Thrax enemies, and now I've also got the Acolyte. And you are noticing that, like, look at this. I've got Breach Surge active, I got the Danse Macabre active, but yeah, these Lua Thrax enemies aren't going to die. I don't want to fail this mission. I don't want to end up with 0 time, so I am going to try a little bit harder, but watch this. All I'm going to do is switch to the Accelitra, get some stacks going, and then a little bit of shots with the Falcor will clear him out. So you're noticing that, like, yeah, guess what? Danse Macabre isn't really going to be useful for boss killing, but it doesn't mean that it's not useful at all. I think what you may notice is that you really actually have to shoot these guys in the face if you want to clear them out properly. Last step, of course, do this, and then shoot them, and they're down. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Revenant or my build in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed and want to see more, please like the video and subscribe if you want to catch me live.